Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Vulcan Forge, kind of see what's going on, of course, help us understand best practice and big picture. And if you are new to the channel, really hope you can learn something here today. I just truly love helping people become better traders. So I created a trading community and academy as well as a signal group. It's all part of my website here essentially. So CryptoCache.tech, link in the description below. Check that out on time if you want to become a better trader in general. Thank you so much again to my current community members for making it such an amazing experience. We have almost 300 members at this point. It's really awesome. Definitely check it out in your own time. So take a look here at Vulcan Forge. Here's the big picture. It's pretty straightforward, but we're still holding this trend line. And I know it sounds kind of crazy because it had this meteoric rise and this significant decrease, but we're still maintaining an ascending type of pattern. And that's very synonymous with Bitcoin as well. The reason why this is good is because Bitcoin is holding true to its ascending pattern, also hitting 35, 37, 38, and 39, and kind of in this perfect little continuation. And we're seeing this on a few other coins. Not every coin has this, but the fact that it's holding this trend line is really important because it essentially tells us that while it's not completely synonymous with Bitcoin, it is synonymous with Bitcoin's overall growth pattern. And that to me is a very positive thing. So again, something very, very awesome. That's the elephant in the room here. In that sense, we also have, of course, the 50-day SMA working as a support level. Price came down just to kiss that at $11.20 and came right back up. So all good stuff there in that sense. We've also got, of course, the price trending, the 200-day SMA trending around $15. So this could be a potential resistance for us here. So again, we'll just kind of draw this line out here so we can kind of see that more definitively, but that Fibonacci retracement of 0.618 can work as a resistance on the way back up based on that being previous level as well as a 200 kind of concurrently with that. We did have, I wouldn't say this is a bounce off of 50, but it did essentially kind of come down and hold strong at the 50 range for the RSI, which is typically a good sign. So ultimately, we didn't technically lose that. Yes, there was one day you could say we were underneath it, but it's mostly holding that line, and that's a very good sign here, kind of giving us that overall momentous trend that is continuing upwards. Again, I know it seems crazy to think that we are in a momentous trend still based on this up and down continuation, but the bottom line is it is continuing to make higher lows. Okay, even if you were to exclude this and this, it's making higher lows no matter how you look at it. Okay, so again, positive stuff more so than adverse. So just keep that in mind. And obviously too, keep in mind too that the sell-off from April 5th till now was necessary. It was a due for a correction because it was extremely overextended at the time. Okay, so just bear that in mind. What goes up must come down, right? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. I don't know. There's a lot of different analogies you can throw in there, but generally speaking, that applies here. Okay. And that being said, let's take a look at the 4-hour. We can see the 200-day SMA working as a support level. Perfect. That's excellent. The 50 could work as a potential resistance. We'll bridge that gap when we get there. But we can see that's running fairly synonymous in a lot of ways with 50 in the RSI. That being said, we could see some turbulence here. And there might be a potential resistance little channel right here that we're going to see. Whereas, because you can see the price got rejected at 13.15 and again here at 13.15. So 13.15 might be a point of contention. Honestly, it's hit twice. If it were to test it a couple more times, I think we'll be in good shape. But the key here is that we have a lot more volume now that should be able to allow us to push through. Because if you see this previous time when we had to try to push through here, we had this kind of almost doji candle result with a lot of volume. That really implies that the bears were willing to try to sell and keep the price down. Now, with Bitcoin dominance coming down, more money is coming into altcoins, we're starting to see this volume increase here, and this is going to hold the price action higher. So I do think, based on that sentiment there, that we're in pretty good shape, and we should expect the price to continue to progress higher for Vulcan Forged here at this time. Okay. Generally speaking, though, we're looking good. The only thing, of course, that would be helpful is to break through 50 on the RSI here and have a definitive line in the sand. So if we can get a clean break above 13.15, maybe just close closer to $14 would be fantastic, phenomenal. I know that's kind of a lot to ask for today, but I would say a close above 13.15 would be a great start. That'll kind of give us that momentous push to break through that. But again, you can kind of see this nice little increase here, of course. Let's take a look at TD sequential. And this is something to acknowledge in most cases, because again, I don't think Vulcan Forge did this. Let's see. We came up to an 8, but a lot of other coins had this very synonymous behavior with Bitcoin, whereas we hit 2 nines in a row and had this extreme overtime. Well, this didn't hit 2 nines in a row. It was actually trying to increase when everything else was decreasing. But it came down to a 9 here, of course, didn't get enough time to consolidate and continue to progress lower. So that kind of gave us this exhaustive state, so to speak, where the price kind of progressed sideways, hit an 8, Bitcoin hit a 9 at that time, and we've seen some corrections here down to a 6 and back up to a 3 now. So for lack of better terms, this doesn't tell us a tremendous amount, but it does explain the fact that, you know, it is more likely to turn around when it hits an 8 or a 9. And we're at a 3 right now, so the potential for the price to continue higher is still there, based on the midterm and the 4-hour time frame showing extreme volume. And obviously, once again, we just have more volume in general. That's going to allow for us to continue to push higher. Again, some of this is contingent on Bitcoin too. Keep this in mind, Bitcoin does feel like it wants to continue to progress higher, but I wouldn't expect a meteoric rise from Bitcoin. Concurrently, I would say the same thing for Vulcan Forge at this moment. Yes, it's honoring that trend line, and yes, it's up almost 10% on the day, but we got to kind of understand and be realistic that we don't want it to go that high that fast. A slow continuation to the upside would be perfect. If this just continues to maintain this trend line, I'd be happy with that. I mean, that would put us in a position where the price would be back in the $15 range by the month end. That'd be perfect. I don't think it's going to be like that. I do think that Vulcan Forge will take off a lot faster, and I do feel as if Bitcoin will recover, because with less fear, uncertainty, and doubt from Bitcoin, we're going to see a lot more volume and volatility from Vulcan Forge. This all happened because Bitcoin was performing pretty good in the overall sense of things. Yes, the last 10 days have been pretty abysmal for Bitcoin, but we can see that reflected here. It was still even doing very well contrary to Bitcoin as well, and that's a good sign. But the fact that it came down to continue to maintain this trend line, to me, is a very high. It's a good claim for getting this continuing higher. And another thing to look at too is the amount of volume we've seen in the last 4 or 5 trading days is very, very close and obviously higher than the previous weeks before. That being said, that pretty much helps us understand that this continuation to the upside, the reason why we didn't come down that low is because we have that continued volume and that belief in the overall sense of Vulcan Forge being a good value. Okay. So it's well below its average true range. I do feel like we're going to see the price continue higher. So I would say just continue to add to your position. Be careful if you're going to take a leverage position. By all means, you always do that anyways, but I wouldn't really recommend that based on the fact that there's no guarantees the price will continue to go up, but I can tell you that the data is telling us that it should, right? If that makes sense. And just be careful of your stop losses if that makes any sense to you at all. Obviously, we always do that. Anyways, those are all things that I teach you in my trading academy and my community, and the things that I provide in my signals as well. So definitely, once again, check that out in your own time, CryptoCache.tech, if you want to become a better trader. But for now, Vulcan Forge still gets my stamp of approval. I do think it's going to continue to progress just based on the overall sentiment, continuing to make higher lows, as well as the fact that we have still increased volume even when the price is coming down. That's a very good sign. Okay, so again, a lot of good stuff here. That being said, I hope you learned something. Thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. You take care.